Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Jamesy Wamesy Show. Today, I have some unfinished business from yesterday. I want to show you one more art book, but this is an example, in my opinion, of what not to do. And that is the infamous, I believe it's called Monsters and Titans by Paul Pope. Now, some of you may be like, "Oh, I missed out on a nice sketchbook of original artwork." But in my opinion, this is the crappiest piece in my collection. But I haven't let go of it. Now, here's the interior. You see, you get your standard Paul Pope drawings. You get to see some behind the scenes stuff. Here's some more. These are pages from Battling Boy. Okay. My problem with this book is the binding is garbage. Like, you can't open this book properly and really take in all the art without creasing the middle binding. And the artwork is also, I don't know. I've heard that it's pixelated, but I really don't see any issues with that myself. So maybe if you're willing to buy a really cheap copy, you could find one. Maybe just like take it off from the binding. Just be prepared to destroy your book. Paul Pope used to really invest in quality in his original like old artwork and his old series, but I don't think he really cares anymore. He hires really bad like colorists to do his recolored, but what were originally meant to be in black and white are now being colored by really amateur colorists. We're not talking about your Jose Villarubias or your Steve Olives. We're talking about people you probably never heard of, and they're just being colored because you know that dum dums are gonna buy books just because they're in color. Well, that doesn't sit well with me, and I haven't really cared for his output as of late. Ever since after Battling Boy, which was fine. I think the book should have been printed bigger, but I think Paul Pope thinks that too. But ever since then, I found his cover designs to be very slapdash. He's just doing the jobs for a paycheck. I think I one of the covers that really did sit well with me was a cover to Fight Club Part Two. You remember there was a sequel to the original novels, brilliant novel, not so brilliant comic books. But he did covers, several covers, I think, and they all left me feeling flat. Like he didn't really care about his design work at this point. Which, whatever, more power to him. He can spend more of his nickels on some rum or something, and that's his prerogative. But I'm pretty much done with the guy. Like THB was recently collected, and unless I find a very cheap copy, I'm gonna stick with my original copies. I'd like to compare and contrast them. He was a very great artist and very influential on myself and my earlier work. But I'm not gonna just read it just to read it and just settle for something that, while it has good reviews, I can't count on investing in a three trade paperback series that might conclude with really ugly art. But that's enough of throwing Paul Pope under the bus. I'm sure he'll never see this, and I'm sure he wouldn't really care. But anyways, let's move on with our little episode here. Okay, I have a show coming up on Sunday. This upcoming Sunday, I'm actually sitting in at my friend's table, David Daub. He's an independent artist. He's a local here. I'm in Reamstown, Pennsylvania, and he's actually been in this very room that I'm filming this in right now. Believe it or not, and yeah, he's a big comic fan, very talented artist. Well, on Sunday, I guess he needs one more person to fill his table out. and he actually asked me to step up and do that. My original intention was to premiere at the Hershey show, but I figured this will give me a pre-premiere, like a moment to just see what it's like. Like, this is a pretty big show. This is the Philly Expo. This is at the Philly Expo Center, that is. And there's like guys like Jim Lee, Frank Miller, like just a who's who of the comics industry is going to be at this show. I've had some experiences with that kind of thing. Like I was at Baltimore last year, and they had Jeff Smith, the Walt Simonson and Wheezy and all those people. But this will be my first time to actually table with some very very established artists. Whereas Hershey, it sounds so far like the guests are somewhere a little bit lower on the rung. Like, no offense to like Jim Steranko, I think he's the king of kings, but the rest of the guys are kind of like the middle of the guard. Guys I respect and guys whose work I love, but they're not exactly Jim Lee. Jim Lee is like king shit of fuck mountain, as they say, and by they I mean the people who wrote Mr. Show. Anyways, while I'm there on Sunday, let me show you what things I'm bringing with me. Okay, I've got about 6 or 7 copies of Kanan the Marauder. Now, there's only a few with my cover. Like, this is one of the variant covers. Let me get my hands off of the bunny so you can really take him in there. Oh, it looks like it's coming up blurry on my screen, but hey, hopefully it translates. Now, this is written by Ben Ferrari, and Kurt Belcher actually wrote my particular story. He also drew the very first panel of the story that I did. You'll recall that was the story that was more trippy, that more hallucinogenic. So I figured to tie it together. I asked Kurt to basically draw the first panel and tie it in with the rest of the series. But I'll have those for sale. This, I think, retails for, let's see, I don't even see a cover price on this. So I'll have to figure that out. That's one thing well, good thing I'm doing this review so I can actually, think of these things that I didn't really take into consideration. The second book that I'm going to have is the Leprechaun Horror Special from Antarctic Press. This is my first book by an actual publisher. Like, everyone's heard of Antarctic, I would believe by now. They did what, Gold Digger and Ninja High School. I think I've been over that before. But yeah, we're going to have copies of this there. And this actually does have a price. This is $7.77. And I was actually born July 7th, 1977, which is 7777. Remember my birthday, it's coming up soon. You should all get me something. Something really great. Something expensive. Hey, maybe just lottery tickets. Okay, now we get into the books that I published. Alright, there's the first issue of Papa Balloon and Cactus, covered by Sam J. Royale. He also did the cool logo. This is all him. That logo has been on every single issue, except for a couple of variants for the actual regular issues. That has been the logo. Then we have issue 2 with the crossover cover. Let me hold this up here. There you go. Shout out to Jim Rugg. This is clearly an homage to his Hulk Grand Design covers. But like I said before in a previous video, I really didn't know what the hell I was doing. And there was a big white bar when these two images were supposed to be joined. On his cover, it's the Green Hulk, and on the other cover, it's the Gray Hulk. And they form one big face there. Now here we obviously have Papa Balloon and the Cactus. But, so they wouldn't exactly form a face, but the homage doesn't quite stand out the way I had intended. But I'm going to have, about 8, 9, maybe 10 copies of that issue there at the show. All right, then that was issue 2, by the way. Then we have issue 3. Now, the cover on this one is done by Richard Friend, very talented artist. He started at Wildstorm and was hand selected by Travis Charest to ink his second Wildcat series. Very talented, and I asked him, I begged him to do this cover. He had done a couple of pinups in previous issues, but this is the first time that I had him do a cover. Now, I left that black and white, and I left issue 4 cover in black and white, also Richard Friend, because Richard is known as an inker, and while he actually penciled these and inked them, I thought his stuff looked so cool just the way it was, so I decided to just leave these couple be. All right. Then we have the second cover that I drew, which is number 5. This is the only copy of number 5 I have left. So, the show hopefully will sell a few things, but yeah, this is I'll go to a second printing probably. I saw another place that I haven't used yet, and I might use them just to do the second printing. I might do a different cover or something slightly different to this cover, just to make it stand out and make it special if you do get the second printing. And then there's the last book that I published, which is this issue number 6. Now this I've had turned into a T-shirt. It's selling really well, and I always like to show off Quinn's back cover. There you go. There's King Daddy. Now, let's see. All right, yeah, I had an advertisement in this one. This was actually for Ben Ferrari's books. I told him, just advertise whatever you want there. And he went with his series Carriers. There you go. Oh, and here we have Mark Wheatley's artwork. This is really beautiful stuff. Speaking of fantastic ink work, look how cool that is. Let me show you another page of his work. Yeah, this was the first page. There you go. You can see that it was done almost like a pulp that you'd find in one of those old 1930s magazines. It was really good, really interesting. It's a time travel story, unlike anything I've read before. So I recommend just picking that issue up just for that story. I'm actually not done yet. After issue 1, I did a Christmas special, also covered by Sam Joy Royale. Now this actually comes with stickers. There's one for the Hershey show. I guess I originally planned to bring this copy to the Hershey show to give people the stickers there. Now, after issue 4, I did another color special. Now, this one featured my parodies of the famous DC trio, Batman, Wonder Woman, and Superman. But to see what's different about the characters, you'll have to buy the issue and just take my word for it. Okay, that is it for those comics. Now, these are the multiple copies of those same issues I'll be bringing along with me. Just these few. I figure I'm not exactly, the guy that's gonna make the most money at this show. I'll just be happy to sell a few books, get my name out there, give out a few stickers and stuff. So yeah, I've got maybe 50 books, 40 books there. So I have that, and I have this one here. Now this one has the shirt I was telling you about. Oh, sorry. There you go. So I think I have brought a medium, a large, and an extra large. I don't anticipate them selling out, but whatever. Then I have about 3 of these. Now this is the Pop and Balloon action figure. And by action figure, it's really just a deflated balloon and a black magic marker to draw a face on it. Now that's inside this envelope, and it's well, actually, they're signed and numbered at the bottom. There you go. There are 50, 50 of these, and I'm up to 38, so I'm not doing that bad, considering what a ridiculous thing this is. But yeah, it's got this cool hollow foil sticker on the outside. So yeah, I accidentally had ordered envelopes this size for the very first issue of Papa Balloon and Cactus. Now this is, well, if you can't tell on the camera, this is nowhere near the size of a comic book. So I was just sitting on a box of envelopes for the longest time until I figured out something to do with it. And they have instructions on the back as to how to inflate your Papa Balloon action figure. Let's see what it says. It's been a while, so I don't remember. All right, it has a little cartoon of Papa Balloon saying, "Hey kids, want to make your own Papa Balloon action figure? Here is how." Then it goes to a list of steps. Step 1. Get a red balloon and a black magic marker. Step 2. Using lungs, breathe into the opening of the balloon. Have your parents tie the balloon sealed. And finally, step 3 is using your abilities, draw a set of eyes, a nose, and a mouth. Watch as Papa comes alive. Well, there you go. So that's a little fun little tchotchke there. And then the last, oh no, actually not last. I got a couple things here. Sorry. All right. I sold out of the Dave Sims second cover that I had. I don't even have a copy for myself, but I do have these miniature versions. These actually might even fit in the envelope. They're that small. Another error I made along the way, and I had to reorder like his issue, and I believe I had even had to send Dave some of these to make up because I didn't have any of the other ones that he had drawn to give him for his archives. So I'll be selling those at the show instead of getting rid of them. If they don't move, they don't move. Whatever. It is the complete interior. All right, let me just put this down for a second. All right, now this is the last thing. This is my pencil case that I just bought specifically for conventions. Now, this has 3 zippers. Let's see what I put in here. I'll have to bring one of those art tablets with me, I guess. I don't have that in one of these thingies here, in one of these boxes. All right. First, I have multi-liners, which I bought recently. These go for like $50 just to get a set of pens, but they're really good. I really love them. They're about the same as microns, but they feel more sturdy. All right, let me zip that back up. How about we not have it zip back up because it's too much work. All right, let's move on to the next the next zipper here. Oh, okay. Here I've got some miscellaneous supplies. I've got a pencil, a couple microns, a white pen, and 2 black magic markers. Now these are the same magic markers that I put inside of the envelope for the Papa Balloon figure. But I bought 100 of these, and I've still got a ton of them sitting around. So I figure I can use those at the show. All right, now let's see what's in the last pocket. All right, I've got behind a 4th zipper here. Oh, you can't really see that. Sorry, guys. Here you go. I brought a Rotamine highlighter and yet another white pen. I might put some more supplies in here. I didn't really use that particular zipper to its full potential. I didn't even see an eraser anywhere yet. Maybe I have a pocket on the outside. Nope, no erasers yet. So I'll have to take care of that. I'll zip these back up off camera to not waste y'all's time. So there you have it. That's pretty much everything I'll bring to the show. I might put some of the t-shirts for issue number 5 in there as well. Maybe I can move some of those. Maybe I can't. But yeah, it should be a fun show. I believe the show starts at 10 p.m. or 10 a.m. rather for the audience to load themselves in. But however, I'm going to get there about 9 o'clock. I'm going to meet David at a certain entrance. It's a very large building, and then he's going to give me my pass, and we're going to load those couple of boxes into the show. I'm thinking of bringing my comic rack, but he says he's got quite a few racks already, and I can pretty much use one of those to set up my stuff as well. But there you have it. Let's go to the book with the horrible cover. Hot tips. Somebody should be fired for that horrible layout. All right, and as always, we like to end with a quote from this book, because despite the fact that the cover is horrible, as you can see on the back cover, the interior is very full of great knowledge. It's compiled from quotes from about the first 130 issues of Comics Interview, which was David Anthony Kraft's book. I believe he passed a few years ago, so God rest his soul, rest in peace. Now let's see what our category is here. This is, well, it says storytelling. I think we did storytelling before, so let me flip to another area. Okay, here's one for business. I think we're all lacking on business skills for the most part, so any little information that we might read can probably help us. Let's see. Okay, let's go with Mark Waid. We all know and love Mark Waid, right? All right, and I quote from Mark Waid: "I was an editor one day, and not an editor the next. It didn't matter if I was right or not. The issue was that I shouldn't have been pissing off certain people. I didn't think of it as pissing off certain people, but apparently I was just a thorn in too many people's sides. It was eventually decided that it would be better for all parties concerned if I found a different way to serve DC Comics." Yikes! Sounds tangentially business related. You know, you really get a feel for what the guys go through behind the scenes. But I think we're gonna pick another quote for today. Let's see. All right, this is the vision and artistic truth. And let's see. See what John Ostrander, of all people, has to say. Once again, that's vision and artistic truth. And he says, "One of my first couple of issues of Star Slayer, I was trying to come up as close as I could to a Grellian approach." That'd be Mike Grell's style, of course. "Because I felt at the time I didn't want to lose Grell's readers. I found out later that those people who were buying it for Grell didn't stay around anyway." Well, I guess that's some more bit of wisdom there. It makes you think, what's the point of making certain sacrifices if you're not going to please that portion of the audience anyways? Know what I'm saying? Well, anyways, that's pretty much the conclusion here. If you guys follow me on TikTok, I did put an art video up showing you what I go through when I draw a page. It's only 2 minutes long. The only things that get recorded when you do a screen grab on Clip Studio is the actual art itself. There's none of the waiting or any of the pontificating that goes on in the artist's head, namely me. And yeah, just check it out if you get a chance. It's only 2 minutes long. 2 minutes, excuse me, 2 minutes and maybe 30 seconds. And yeah, I think it's really cool. Well, thanks for everything. I'll see you guys later. And look to the skies. I don't know.